But who will win this one? As we will have the 5 red lights on here in Belgium. And they're out and away we go. Trixie down to turn 1. Has got a solid start. And this straight round the outside. Lovely start. A Star bogs down with the Red Bull on the inside of the Williams as LWB round the outside of Star as we're going to head up the hill. And side by side goes Star and LWB as they're about to chase up Erosion Radion. Side by side they go and LWB has to back out through Radion as Gate round the outside on the medium tyres. Going to try and get through on the Ferrari as LWB going to try and hold it together, but will Gate go for the move into Lacombe? Gate dive bombs LWB side by side they go and LWB leaves the track as Gate gets through. And Rio Harris watching this battle along. Rio going to look for a move on LWB as LWB tries to do an offensive on Rio as there's a little bit of bumping and barging between Rio and LWB. The Ferrari and the Mercedes go side by side and LWB going to try and force the Rio out. And meanwhile Ness with a magical start as TJ and Stephen Beecham battle through bus stop as Mallard looks for the switchback. In the background we got Creamy battling with Ollie as TJ on the inside of Mallard. Can Stephen look down the inside as well as cars absolutely everywhere. Stephen almost swamped here in behind Ollie. Side by side is Creamy looking on the inside of Stephen Beecham and Creamy looking to pull ahead of the Ferrari driver. The Ferrari doesn't battle him too hard as Echo back down the inside of OP as they go side by side. OP going to keep it ahead as there's a bit of wobble. Echo wheel banging with the Haas driver as Echo gets back ahead on. Meanwhile Trixie going to try and get back ahead of Gate as they're going to swap positions and Trixie back up into P2. Trixie though already crowned champion is not going to worry too much as LWB and Michael battle here. Yellow flag. Kodamatic out. Kodamatic out and has caused a VSC. Stephen and Berlin out as well. Or well, Stephen in major contact as Berlin out of the race with a full safety car out here on lap 4. This will follow Gate right up the gearbox of Trixie, and Trixie's gone now as Gate went to weave, so caught a little bit nap in there. As Gate will head into the final chicane. Trixie locking the rears as he rotates the car through bus stop. And Trixie did get a good restart there, but Gate still has some grip in these mediums to hold on. As in the background we've got some drivers we haven't got the best of starts there. Creamy and OP battle into turn 1. OP round the outside of Creamy and goes a bit deep, though opens the door to Rio Harris to get involved in this battle as Rio, oh my god, OP with a little bit of contact there as Creamy gets through on Rio Harris as Rio. All these drivers battling from P8 down. A reminder, don't need to box again. And Rio going to get straight through Ollie. Even before Blanchimont, Ollie going to try and keep it around the outside. And side by side goes the Alpine and the Mercedes. And Ollie backs out of that battle as Rio gets through. The drama that has been in this overall constructor title is Ollie down the inside of Mallard. And these two best friends through Lacombe they go. And Ollie gets through on Mallard. And a beautiful move from the Alpine driver. So can Star make up 20 seconds on these medium tyres as he's going to look on the inside of Ty Cleared Pool, and that's a brave move from Star, but he is not waiting around at all. He's going to make these moves as soon as he can on these medium tyres. And Echo watching this battle along as Echo brushes the rear of OP and Gate down the inside of Mallard as OP into the rear of Mallard, and off the track goes OP as Echo looking for a way through us. Side by side these drivers go, McLaren and Haas. Side by side, LWB going to try and sneak through the gap at Pouon. And side by side at Pouon is not a place you really want to be going side by side. As LWB still holding it together and leaves the track to OP. And LWB through at Pouon. Meanwhile, Rio Harris is 1.4. And LWB going to look through on Mallard. Rio Harris 1.4 off Michael Lewis. LWB round the outside of Mallard, trying to find his way through. And LWB down the inside as Star sets the fastest lap. And Star back inside DRS range of Trixie. He needed to make that move. Going to try and time his run to get ahead of Echo if he can. And yes, he has done just that. And this has actually helped Star, which is probably the worst thing he could have done. He's helped Star get ahead of Echo as Michael Louis defends. As, oh my god, Gate goes absolutely bowling into turn 1. And that's going to be a mega penalty for the Red Bull driver as Ty Clear gets through on the Ferrari, and this is a nightmare for Ferrari as LWB looks for the switchback up a Rouge and Radion, and what a move from LWB back into P9 as LWB going to look on the rear of Mallard into Lacombe as he dives late and LWB gets through, and what a sensational move from the Ferrari driver as he's going to look to cut his way through the field later on here. As we're here on lap 20, as Ty diving it through on Mallard, into the rear goes Rio Harris. And he may look through on the inside of the chicane, and Rio diving it on the inside of the chicane. Side by side they go and Rio gets through. Beautiful move from the Mercedes driver as the Ferrari through Stabilo, Rio and LWB go side by side, and Rio gets through with a sensational move, and Ty with a switchback is back in contention. Oh no! That's Mallard through in P11, watching this battle along. As Star desperately trying to catch Nisna as Geet round the outside of Ollie, who also has some wing damage. Meanwhile, Michael Louis into P3. Michael Louis podium on the cards as Ollie and Geet battle. Rio trying to get through. In the background, we've got Creamy and Coldzilla. Creamy leaves the track. Coldzilla gets back through again. Ollie on the rear of Geet. Can't get through. Rio Harris dives it down the inside of Ollie. As Ty now gonna try and defend into the chicane, and LWB sends it on the inside of the chicane. Contact between LWB and Ty, and LWB getting through, but Ty gonna try and look back ahead. As Rio on the rear of Geet, is Geet gonna look on TJ if he can get round the inside, as Rio gonna send it round the outside on Geet as LWB gets through on Ollie, and into the rear goes. Oh, there's cars absolutely everywhere. Rio Harris on the rear of Geet. Geet gonna try and defend. Geet. Oh, Geet hits the rear of TJ and Rio with a lovely switchback. What battles here? Rio gets through. Geet gonna try and get round the outside of Ty or TJ, and he does just that. Ollie gonna get through. Ty Clear. Side by side we go. Three wide. Big contact between Ty Clear and the Ferrari and Ollie. Ollie leaves the track, and Ollie down and around as we went three wide into Lacombe on the final lap. As Creamy going to get round the outside of Coldzilla, dives it down the hill. Absolute cinema on this final lap as Ollie bins it on the final lap for no reason. Creamy side by side gets through with Coldzilla. And will we see the overall Constructors' Championship decided by penalties? We'll have to wait and see what the stewards come up with as Echo looks to climb to the rear of Michael Louis. But it'll be Nis who's about to round the final chicane. We'll keep an eye on Echo, who may look for a move as Michael Louis on the outside of Star. Michael Louis into P2. No, I don't believe what I'm saying. P2 is Michael Louis. Nis wins. Michael Louis P2 as Star gets P3. Geet up into P4, TJ P5, Rio P7, LWB into P8, Ty Clear into P9, Mallard P10, Coldzilla P11, Creamy P12, and Ollie P13. What an ending!